How's it going, folks? How's it going? You already know the waves, and for sure, you already know the vibes. It is Zachariah White, aka King Big Daddy Drip, back at it like it's nothing with this drip and the sauce, cause I am the boss. I am back. We are here. Happy good day to every single one of you ladies and gentlemen out there in the world. All right. I hope y'all are out there. You guys are having a superb and a spectacular Saturday on this go around. And even before, well, first off, I'll say welcome back to the Red Empire. But also number two, I'll do a quick little mini prayer, starting in, dear God, again. Well, I'll say I'm praying a whole lot of good luck, good fortune out to and for the heavenly kingdom, for all the amazing things that they do for us every single day, day in, day out, moment to moment basis, making sure that we're safe, making sure that we stay on the right path and we keep getting better. Of course, I'm praying a whole lot of good luck and good fortune to our kingdoms, businesses, and communities, trying to be the good, the great, the best version of ourselves every single day, and also trying to help out everybody. But also, I'm praying a whole lot of good luck and good fortune for every single one of y'all, our brothers and sisters. Y'all keep that progress going and keep it flowing, baby. But of course, you already, you see the garments that we have on, man. We have another episode within our series, the Divine and Royal Bible Reading, Bible Study, session, if you will. Now, granted, I will say this. I think I'm going to have to go through and re-record the previous section that we just read yesterday, because for whatever reason my computer was on some stuff. I think we'll my goal is we won't make it up in this particular video. We'll make it up in because today, of course, I just mentioned today's Saturday, so I'll likely make it up come Sunday or Monday. I won't put it off for too much long, but, I definitely got to make sure that we get that out, because the last thing that I want to do is put the video out and what's it called? You guys not even have that section. But all in all, by the time that you guys see this video, don't even worry too much. The section that I'm talking about that my computer didn't catch, it's already going to be up, so this ain't even going to, be too much of anything. But, what I did want to at least, just to give a quick little recap, right? And which y'all definitely make sure that you guys read the Bible on your own time, or you guys can also feel free to read along with me as I'm reading. Either or is perfectly fine. What I would say is, definitely also make sure that you go check out the previous video. But just a quick little recap. I know I can tell you off rip, there were a whole bunch of changes. All right, Abram is no longer Abram is Abraham. Sarai is no longer Sarai is Sarah. What else? What's it called? Not only that, the Lord, there was just so much that happened in the last section, in which, just to give you guys more specifics, the section that we read through, like page wise, in this specific book, we read pages 10 to 15. But in terms of what that, King, what does that mean? Like what sections were you overall reading? We were reading Genesis, let's see. I believe, we started Genesis 13 and read all the way until, when was it? Genesis 19:13. That was how far we ended up reading. Again, a lot ended up happening. And I'll say Abraham and Hagar, just, some stuff that I just remember off the top of my head. Abraham and Hagar, they ended up having children, and also the Lord came down and informed Abraham, at the very least, that Sarah is going to provide a child. Granted, it's going to be a whole year from now, but it's going to happen. And they ended up establishing a covenant, and in which, in order for, Abraham sufficed in it on his side. It required not only for him to get circumcised, but for every male in his house to get circumcised. So there was really a whole lot that ended up going down. And to be honest with you, I'm just talking about let's just say the little bit of information that I'm giving you guys. There's way more that ended up going down. So y'all, again, please make sure that y'all go through and y'all read that particular section. But what we're going to do is we're going to read another 5 pages. That's our goal for today. Read another 5 pages, right? And essentially the sections that we'll be reading is Genesis 19:14 until, let's see, 5 pages out. That'll put us at page 20, and page 20, it looks like we'll be ending things off on Genesis 24:20. All right, so if you guys, y'all make sure that you get your books. All right, we're going to go ahead and I'll get started with the reading. But let's see, how did I mess around and lose my place already? All right, let's go ahead. Essentially, Genesis 19:14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this house. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. Genesis 19:15. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife, and take thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass when they had brought forth, Genesis 19:17, and it came to pass when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewed upon me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Genesis 19:20. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou become thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Genesis 19:24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from that Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and in plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. Genesis 19:26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain. And behold, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. Genesis 19:29. And it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. Genesis 19:30. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. He and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him. We may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in, and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose, and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Genesis 19:36. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father, and the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of Moabites unto this day. And the younger she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this night. Now, that marks the end of Genesis section 19, and we'll be starting up on Genesis 20. But what I can say is, because I'm picking up on certain stuff, and I know what I'm going to try to do is read the section, and then after the section, I'll let y'all know what I was able to pick up on. And you guys are more than welcome to put your guys' input down below as well, just because I know that I'm going through reading, and you guys are going through reading. I'm by no means am I perfect, and Jesus is the only one that's perfect. So definitely we can learn a thing or two from each other. But what I can tell you from what I learned, or what I was able to pick up was it looks like Lot and the family, again, the what's it called? Lord ended up mentioning, go ahead, get up out of the city. Definitely in this section, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Fire and brimstone rained down all upon that particular area. And what I definitely picked up on was it seemed as though It seemed as though, I'm trying to make sure that I got the names right. It seemed as though the 2 daughters of Lot ended up, let's just say Lot and his 2 daughters procreated to make more children. All right. Now I will say up in there is some incest or whichever, and that's the thing that's a point of interest, because I know that in today's culture, whichever, that's definitely taboo. That's not something that needs to be done, or that's not something that's encouraged. But we do happen to see it here, on display, and really the intention of this being done was to preserve the seed of Lot and continue the bloodline. And one thing, of course, we know, and is definitely going to become very, very increasingly important, just all throughout the Bible, the essence of family, the essence of communities, the essence of people. All right, you gotta, again, we gotta be here on a, like, it's one of those things, because I know that the news may say something about us being overpopulated or whichever, especially in certain areas, but we do realize the importance of that here, especially within this particular section. But enough of me doing so much reading. I'll go ahead and keep it going and keep it flowing. All right. So moving on to Genesis section 20, and Abraham journeyed from thence toward the sun, from the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned into Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech the king of Gerar sent and took Sarah. All right, now hold up, y'all. Pardon me. I'm about to my feet getting a little comfortable in these socks. I need to go to when we get finished with this, I'm about to put some lotion on my socks. That's for sure. I mean, not on my socks, on my feet. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. All right, let me free my feet real quick. All right, now we're good. All right, so moving on, Genesis 23. But God came to Abimelech in a dream last night, and said to him, behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he unto me, she is my sister. And she even she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hand have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, I know that thou did this in the integrity of thy heart, and I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore I suffered thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears. And the men were sore afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said unto him, what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. Genesis 20:10. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed she is my sister, she is my daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, that this is thy kindness, which thou shalt shew unto me. And every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and stored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee, and with all other. Thus she was reproved. Genesis 20:17. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. I'm going to read that one more time. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech, because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Okay. Now, this is what I'll say, right? in this section 20, what I was able to pick up was this. Right. Of course, it was because as there's it seems as though we're going to see this a lot of times where Abraham is coming across these different nations and he's informing them, hey, I'm here with Sarah. That is my sister. Right now, in this go around, right. I think this is definitely a little different from the first go around. The first go around, it seemed like the curse befell upon the ruler and the people. Then the Pharaoh ended up finding out, wait, hold up, this ain't right. Whoa, your husband and wife, So, in this particular go around, it's a little different, right? Abimelech, he finds out in a dream that Abraham and Sarah, they're not brother, or let's just say they're husband and wife. That's the key thing that they did not know. And I'll say, of course, we find out about the mercy of God because God God told him what he told him. Abimelech was like, mentioned, was like, whoa, wait. I didn't, with whatever it is that I did not do it with the knowledge and with it in mind and in heart that Sarah was Abraham's wife. And then the Lord mentioned, oh no, we know that it's already known that you didn't know about this. You did you did what you did essentially without that particular knowledge, but you have to return Sarah onto Abraham, because if you don't return Sarah onto Abraham, you're going to die. There's going to be negative consequences that comes from it. But also what you see is the sacredness, let's just say the sacredness, the significance that is placed upon husband and wife. All right. And stepping in between something like that. Oh Lord. That is, let's just say a whole lot of negative stuff, whole lot of bad stuff can come about from that. So that's something that we do know. That's something that we are very, very aware of. But we're going to keep it going and keep it flowing, right? So moving on, we have Genesis. We're on to Genesis 21. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, and apparently hers, at the same time of which God hath spoken to her. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him from the covenant. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God had made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age, and the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Abraham saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. In all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed, and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Genesis 21:15. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him, and a good way off. as if it were a bow shot. For she said, "Let me not see the death of the child." And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. Genesis 21:17. And God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, "What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up thy lad, and hold him up in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation." And God opened up her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad a drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. Genesis 21:22. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and the Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, "God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me here by God that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor my son, nor my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned." And Abraham said, "I will swear." And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water, which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Pardon me, I'm going to read that back one more time. And Abraham said, "I will swear." And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had taken away violently. And Abimelech said, "I wot not who hath done this thing, neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today." And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, "What mean these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves?" And he said, "For these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me, that I have digged this well." Wherefore he called the place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. Genesis 21:33. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba, and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned into the Philistines' land many days. Okay. Now I'll say this, right? That marks the end of Genesis section 21. Now, pardon me, because I'm going through. I'm trying to just keep my mind about in terms of what's happened. What I did pick up was that Sarah conceived the child just like God had said. So Abraham and Sarah, they have a child, right? What I also noticed was that essentially Abraham sent away Hagar and sent away Hagar's son, or their son, and sent away Hagar and the son, right? Now, even before doing so, the Lord instructed Abraham to do so, and also mentioned that he's essentially going to have his own nation, right? Which is a key, it's something. It seemed like again, just to mention that really everything is going to be all right, even if you send them away. So do not necessarily feel conflicted about doing so, as much as this is your son, this is somebody that you made a child with, right? So I did pick up on that, right? I also picked up on the fact that, as Hagar and the son were traveling, right? They eventually came across a point of interest, a difficult time, if you will, right? And what we know, of course, Hagar, crying and weeping and whichever, but the Lord ends up coming down, and which I'll say this particular section, I remember. A good gentleman, right? I'll say a well-renowned gentleman. His name is Myron Golden, right? As he was explaining, essentially, providing a whole lot of gems when it comes to business, when it comes to producing wealth, when it comes to providing value for other people. That essentially, while Hagar was crying, the son was praying, and all in all, the Lord came down, and the Lord essentially opened up Hagar's eyes, made Hagar aware, cognizant of what perhaps Hagar was not necessarily cognizant of. They found that supply of water that they needed in order to keep themselves going, keep it flowing when it comes to progressing forward. They're traveling, right, and living out in the wilderness, and they got what they needed. God provided, right, and not even necessarily entirely in a means of just creating water, but or I guess really in the sense of just making Hagar aware of what's already there, right. So that was something else that I picked up, as well as the covenant between Abraham and Abimelech. And I know that there was something also in the mix of water being taken away violently, but hence came the covenant, right? But we'll keep going. We'll keep flowing. We're chugging along pretty smoothly, and we're almost at where it is that I was looking for us to touch upon as well. We're on page 18, right? But I'll go ahead and we'll read Genesis 22. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him up there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. Genesis 21:3. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and he saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went out and went on to the place of which God hath told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the word of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went together, the both of them together, and they came to the place which God had told them of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him up on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord came unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon thy lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold him, behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the land of the Lord it shall be seen. Genesis 22:15. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things, that it was told Abraham, say, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chest, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jedaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begot Rebekah. Those 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Rumah. She bare Tebah and Gaham and Thahash and Maachah, right? Now, that ends Genesis section 22. Now, what I will say is this, right? This is definitely a key point of interest, right? Genesis 22. What we find out is this. God, or essentially this is the summarization. God came down, God sent the word, or God and Abraham spoke. God told Abraham to go into the land of Moriah and sacrifice his only son as a burnt offering. Right now, I'll say it's a very, it's something, because I almost see it like playing out like as a movie. God, Abraham took his son, took 2 men, took some asses, some donkeys, right? They went up, right? They went to the land that God instructed, or went to the mountain that God had instructed them to go, instructed him to go to, right? Now, this is the thing, because the thing that was definitely impactful was the fact that Isaac didn't even know. Isaac was oblivious to what had went down, right? Now, and it's something, because this is definitely something that we need to take from Abraham. Not to say that God's going to put us in that same sort of situation not same sort, or let's say same exact situation, right? Not that we'll be put in the same exact situation, or maybe we will. I don't know. But the impactful thing about everything was that Abraham was willing to sacrifice his only son for God's sake, right? And as mentioned, God took note of the fact that God took note of that particular fact. Essentially, Abraham loved, respected, and feared God so much he was willing to sacrifice his only son. And that is the thing as well, that especially we as believers need to keep in mind, right? That especially when it comes to God, especially when it comes to all of the heavenly kingdom, we need to believe, again, we need to love, honor, respect, fear so much that whatever it is that we have here doesn't, it's, let's just say this, on a scale, God, heaven, the heavenly kingdom, everything, that significantly outweighs whatever the heck it is that we got to do. That is that, because and it's funny because I was like, as I'm reading what's going down, I'm like, damn, that's tough. Like that's a tough thing to do. And in my mind, I'm sitting up here, I'm like, yo, I need to get to the point where I can and can, will, and actually do something like this, is because this is what it takes to as of course, the overall objective for myself and for the kingdoms that God has blessed me with, is to love, honor, respect, do right by, serve the heavenly kingdom, which definitely includes, say, God and the heavenly kingdom, as well as our kingdoms and everyone else. But that is what is required, especially in order to serve that God and the heavenly kingdom. So that right there, Abraham set one heck of an example. That's for sure, definitely. And also, the thing is, Abraham didn't have to sacrifice his son. There was a burnt offering that was provided instead. It was just a test, because I'll say that faith is definitely something you have to be willing to step out on faith for the Lord. Otherwise, there's either one or two things that I see happening. Either nothing's going to change and your life, your life will stay the same, or your life will get worse. So, definitely gotta keep that in mind. Abraham set that example right there. But keeping it pushing forward, right? Genesis 23, section 23. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Genesis 23:3. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my lord, thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but thou mayest bury the dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I shall bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field, for as much money as it is worth, for he shall give it me for a possession of a burying place among you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of the city, saying, Nay, my lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land, and he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the fields. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abram hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed the Ephron the silver, which he hath named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. In the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in the borders round about, where were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in the gate of his city. Genesis 23:19, the last section of Genesis 19. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan, and the field and the cave that is therein where were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth. All right. Now, that marks the end of Genesis 23, as I mentioned. Actually, I misspoke. The last section was Genesis 23:20. We're on page 20, right? And what we're going to do is, because there's part of Genesis 24 here, right? I'm trying to think as to how I want to play this. What we'll do, just so that we don't split the message up, we're going to save Genesis 24 for come tomorrow, right? But even though we're going to save that for tomorrow, we'll at least touch on what we got for today, right? So what we do happen to have for today, what's the dealio, right? The dealio is this. There was something that I missed. I know it seemed as though there was a number of different generations that came about at the end of Genesis 22. I may be misspeaking, but I definitely know that there's a whole lot of names there, which means that other folks, there's been other children that have been brought into the world, right? Now, Genesis 23, what we rest in peace. But what we find out is that Sarah died, and essentially this section, it seems like is a negotiation between Abraham and looks to be Abraham and Ephron. Essentially trying to find a good spot to bury Sarah. Right, and the good thing is they were able to come to that particular agreement, and Abraham was able to bury Sarah, and they were able to attain a sort of closure from there. Right, that is what I picked up from that final section, from section 23 of Genesis. If you guys, again, because I know that there's definitely some stuff that I may be missing. Right, again, there's so much text here. There's so many different details to break down. It's absolutely crazy. But you guys are more than welcome to come through and also explain some of the stuff that perhaps, or further explain the stuff that I've already mentioned, and explain some of the other stuff that perhaps I glossed over or didn't even address. All right, but all in all, I do thank y'all so much for the love and support. Especially as we're going through on this particular journey, this soulful spiritual journey, if you will. What I'll say is this, right? You guys, we're going to go through and we're going to do this prayer, but we're all just it doesn't matter what it is, y'all. Please make sure that y'all continue always striving, always working towards getting better, always working towards improving. Just keep going, and also make sure that you give thanks unto the Lord. Just because even in the ways that perhaps you can see or you can't see, the Lord has got our back. All right, but all in all, we done with Bible study, at least for today. Y'all go ahead, bow your heads, and I'm gonna go through. We're gonna say his prayer. All right, I got y'all. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another day, for our brothers and sisters in Christ, for our brothers and sisters all across the world, for our brothers and sisters all across the different spectrums, all around universe. Just thank you for everything. Thank you for another day for myself. Thank you for another day for the kingdoms, the communities, the businesses that you've blessed us all with. Right? We thank you for allowing us to experience all that comes with life. The good and the bad, the trials and tribulations, the glory and the triumphs, and everything in between. We pray that you continue to bless us with the blessings, bless us with the fortunes, bless us with the privileges, bless us with the opportunities to invest in what you've blessed us with. All right, the kingdoms, the businesses, the communities, the skills, the traits. And as we invest, we pour our heart, our mind, our body, our soul, our spirit into what you blessed us with. We pray that it pours back into us. It allows us to maintain ourselves, sustain ourselves, take care of ourselves, and take care of others. And we know, we believe, and we know that we're going to go on to accomplish many good and great things, all by your grace, all by your help, all by your work, and the help of all within the heavenly kingdom. But it is these great accomplishments, these good deeds, that we do it in the name of loving, honoring, respecting, and doing right by the heavenly kingdom, the kingdoms and the empires that you blessed us with, and our brothers and sisters. And last but not least, we pray that you still allow for us to help out in the fight against evil and to fully support the heavenly kingdom. In the name of the heavenly kingdom, in the name of Jesus Christ, and in the name of you, God, I pray and we pray. Amen. Okay. All right. So that marks it for today. But what I will say is we're going to keep it going and keep it flowing. Tomorrow, I know for sure we're at the very least going to read for the next 5 pages. But I'm also really thinking that I want to go through and make sure that we read over what's it called. We read over the section that I guess that I wasn't able to get saved. But all in all, though, enough of that. Again, thank y'all for the love, support, for your faith, for coming with me on this particular journey, the spiritual journey, or even you guys may be further along than I am. But either way, I do appreciate y'all so much. Y'all make sure y'all like this thing up, y'all share, comment, subscribe, all that other sort of jazz. Of course, the most important part, stay tuned, stay tapped in, stay locked in, because the juice over here never stops dripping. All right. I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace, be easy, and as always, y'all stay blessed up.